Hi, today we are going to speak about our report on FDI inflows into India. This work essentially is a follow-up to the report that has come up in Financial Times, wherein the Financial Times ranks India as the topmost recipient of FDI flows in the first half of 2015, and it ranks, according to Financial Times, higher than China and US. Our work essentially reflects that some of these findings are based on truncated data. If you look at the entire data, number one thing that we are saying is that in terms of gross inflows of FDI, which includes the flows in going into greenfield projects and also with respect to the M&A inflows, India would rank roughly about 1/3 of flows that is going into China. China has been consistently maintaining an inflow of something like $10 to $12 billion on a monthly basis. So one thing we are doing is actually refuting the findings of FT report. Number one. Number two thing that we are saying is that if you look at the constituents of the inflows in terms of the greenfield flows that FT has pointed out, we have found that the flows have happened in areas such as e-commerce, automobiles and cash and carry. If you assess these three sectors, these are sectors which are largely based on domestic consumption. So the inference that we are drawing is that most of the inflows that we have seen in the first half of the year and also in the earlier period has been flowing into capture domestic demand rather than anything to do with creating long-term investments into plant and machinery. So if you consider what the government has actually utilized the FT report to consider an affirmation of the Make in India story, we are actually refuting that as well. On a global basis, what we have also found is that the contribution of FDI into capital formation world over has actually declined quite substantially, and also in India. What we are also saying is that if we have to really resuscitate domestic investment cycle, one has to concentrate on how to revive domestic saving and especially domestic financial savings. So that becomes very critical, and with respect to the FDI flows or external capital flows, that will only, according to us, play a marginal role in terms of funding our investments. In terms of the sectoral implication, there are 2-3 things that we want to say. We think that FDI flows that are happening, it could actually resuscitate domestic consumption, especially urban consumption. So that's a positive thing for the consumption story, urban consumption in particular. Number two thing is that flows into automobile sector will translate into newer models, newer version of passenger cars in particular. That will create certain excitement for the automobile sector in India. Number three thing that we are saying is that the data usage for the telecom players could actually go up quite substantially, and that could actually rebalance some of the pressure that the telecom players are actually facing with respect to intensifying competition and also fragile balance sheet. Number four thing, what we are saying is that pervasiveness of e-commerce will continue to be disruptive for the organized retail business in India.